Hi guys, and welcome back to this journey towards excellent exam results. In these shorter revision videos, we are going to be breaking down different concepts within the GCSE Geography specification. The aim of this is to help us understand the concepts better and to give us the information and confidence we need to answer exam questions. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the different rock types there are, examples of them, and how they are distributed across the UK. We will also discuss the Tees-Exe Line, what it is, and its significance when studying the geology of the UK. This information is relevant for all GCSE geography specifications. Okay, let's get started. So in geography, we study both human and physical geography. And in this case, we will be looking at physical geography, which obviously studies the natural landscapes. And in particular, we will be looking at the UK's physical landscapes. Now, the physical landscapes in the UK have been shaped mainly by geology, tectonics, glaciation, and human activity. So moving on to rock types, it will be important for us to identify the three main rock types that will be discussed in this particular topic. And as you may have obviously studied these at Key Stage 3, we know that the three main rock types are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Now, it will be important for our examination to be able to identify the characteristics of each of these different types of rock. So for igneous rocks, these are obviously the oldest and the most resistant rocks, and they are formed from tectonic or volcanic activity. So when lava cools down, obviously it will form igneous rocks. And examples here are granite and basalts. Then moving on to sedimentary rocks, these ones are the least resistant, and as the name suggests, sedimentary rocks, these ones are formed as sediment is deposited by rivers or the sea. Now, that sediment will build up in layers over time, and the upper layers are likely to compress the lower layers, and that will form rocks. Now, in a lot of cases, fossils, obviously, that have dropped down to the bottom of the ocean, for example, are going to be trapped in between the layers, and this will help in the sedimentation process of these rocks. Not the sedimentation process actually, but the cementation process. So they will tend to hold these layers or particles or sediments together. And obviously over time, yes, this builds sedimentary rocks. And these are the least resistant types of rock. Examples here obviously are clay, chalk, sandstone, carboniferous limestone, and millstone grit. You could pause the video here and have a look at the features of these sedimentary rocks in detail if you like. And moving on to the next one, next type of rock, the metamorphic rocks are formed as a result of extreme heat and pressure. For example, sandstone, which is a sedimentary rock, becomes quartzite when exposed to extreme levels of heat and pressure. And you have the examples again on this slide. So slate, schist, and marble. So what does the rock type then have to do with the physical landscapes of the UK? Now, generally speaking, the type of rock will influence the relief or the topography of the UK. Now, relief or topography refers to the height of the land, and the types of rock that we have will determine where we have upland landscapes and where we have lowland landscapes. And as a general rule, the igneous and metamorphic rocks will erode slower because they are more resistant and will end up forming upland landscapes. Then the weaker sedimentary rocks will erode faster to form lowland landscapes. Although having said that, some of the sedimentary rocks are slightly more resistant and may end up forming upland landscapes, as we'll find out later on. So this map here shows the distribution of different rock types across the UK. And as you can see from the map, if we look at this area here to the south and the east, southeast of the UK, we mostly have the sedimentary rock. Now, obviously, these are the least resistant rocks, and these areas here to the south and southeast of the UK are lowland landscape. Then the areas to the north and the west of the UK mostly have igneous and metamorphic rock. And that igneous and metamorphic rock obviously is eroding a lot slower and forming upland areas. So that brings us next to the Tees-Exe line, which is this line along here. Now this is an imaginary line, just like, the equator, the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer. So they're all imaginary lines, but this is not necessarily a line of latitude like the other examples that I've given. But this here is an imaginary line that runs from the River Tees to the River Exe. And this line actually divides the UK into upland landscapes to the northwest and the north, and then lowland landscapes to the south and the southeast. So this slide here shows the geology map and the relief map side by side. The intention of putting this here is to determine the relationship between geology and relief here in the UK. And obviously, as we can see again, to the northwest and north of the Tees-Exe line, we have the upland landscapes. So here it's represented by the brown areas of land that obviously have got the higher relief, and it's in those same areas that we have the metamorphic and the igneous rocks. And then to the southeast and south of the Tees-Exe line, we have the lower relief, mostly in green and a lighter shade of brown, and it's those areas that have the sedimentary rocks which are less resistant. So there is actually a direct correlation between the relief and the geology of the UK. Now, this here is the type of graphic that you're likely to find in an examination question, where you may be asked to assess the influence of geology on the relief of the UK, for example. So this is an important one to remember here. That brings us to the end of this video on the distribution of rock types across the UK. I hope that you have found the information useful. I have also put together other videos on all the other subtopics within the UK's evolving physical landscapes topic. 2 of them will pop up as suggested videos at the end of this one, and the rest will be in the UK evolving physical landscapes playlist. Thanks once again for joining in this journey towards excellent exam results. All the best, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.